Hey, you guys. Happy crappy hour to you guys. Welcome to Escape from Crazytown to our live stream on Happy Crappy Hour. So, today I want to talk about this conversation I had with a self professed or professed narcissist, I guess. Um, Someone who identified as a narcissist. And I wanted to share with you this conversation because it, in many ways, it showed a typical conversation with a narcissist. And I want to explain to you the trappings that you might get into when you try to talk to a narcissist, or when you're not even sure that this person's a narcissist. There are certain things that toxic people do that in a conversation that pretty much leads nowhere. And you don't want to get into that. And you definitely don't want to get into an argument with a narcissist or play into their games. So that's why I want to share this with you today. Hey, John, good to see you. So glad you hopped on. Yeah, so I think today's topic is going to be pretty enlightening, and I hope that the self-professed narcissist that I had a conversation with will come back on, and I'll explain that to you throughout this video here. So, hey, Obi-Wan, good to see you. So glad you guys are hopping on. It is just absolute crazy town, really, when you have a conversation with a narcissist. But if you stay in control, if you know what your goal is in the conversation, it's actually beneficial. It can be beneficial to the narcissist. And what I mean by that is the conversation I had with the narcissist was with someone who wanted help, okay? Which is rare, very rare for a narcissist, right? To come out and say, hey, I'm a narcissist and I want help. How do I not be this way anymore? And that's kind of what happened with me, with this person. So before we get into that, I do want to tell you what my happies and crappies are. Turquoise, good to see you. Opie says, I'm in control of my narc legally. Wow, okay. I'm not quite sure how, but that's great. If you're able to have control over that and they don't have control over you, then you're in a good position. Well, okay, so I want to tell you, first of all, yesterday I got a donation. Yay! And this can happen anytime. I don't have to be live for you guys to donate, which is really nice though when you do. Um, but what I recommend though is if you do donate through my website. I put that at the end of every video in the description, how to get to the website. It's escapefromcrazytown.com. And because if you donate through there, I get 90% of your donation. Whereas if you donate through YouTube, I get 60% of the donation, which kind of stinks, right? So every $10 you guys donate, I get $6 through YouTube. But if you go through, and YouTube keeps 40%, but if you go through the website, we have a link there, and I think it's through PayPal or Patreon or something like that. And they take only 10%. So that's my happy. I was so pleased. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile to you guys, especially when somebody's, so willing to. Anyway, I hate to put it out there like this, but buy me a cup of coffee. Really, it's so helpful for me to know that, wow, I am making a difference, and I appreciate that. And especially you guys coming on each week, that also makes me feel like, wow, you guys, this is making a difference for you, and I'm willing to keep doing this because I want to be there for you guys. I want to make sure that you guys have this forum where you can converse with each other and help one another, and we can learn from one another. It's really helpful. It helps you to get out a lot of your, the darkness that maybe have come over you over the week. You can let it out here where it's a safe place. Anyway, you guys, that was my happy. I'm really glad that this channel is helping you guys. My crappy is, let me see, what was my crappy? I don't know that I had much of a crappy, but yeah, it's like I have to pull it out of the air or something. Every day there's some crappy, right? Every day there's some negative stuff that happens. But for the most part, I try to not focus on that. I want to focus on the positive. I want to focus on solutions rather than the problem. You can identify the problem, but then don't wallow in it, right? So for me, I think my crappies were easily taken care of through the week as because I focus on the solution. So anyway, you guys, that's where I am. How about you? Let me see how everybody's doing. Heather, good to see you. Oh, first time catching live. Awesome. John says, I am dreading Veterans Day coming up. She comes around and says, Happy Veterans Day. It's like an insult coming from her with how she acts like she really cares. So fake. Yeah, Veterans Day is really hard for a lot of people. Actually, I knew a narcissist who was a veteran, and he used that as an excuse to indulge, right? He used that as an excuse to, um, let me think of how he had done this. He would say he's wallowing in the trauma that he experienced while he was in the military. So then he would tell these stories. I don't know if he exaggerated the stories or not, so I'm not going to, suggest that he did, but he would use these stories to try to get women into bed. Essentially, that was it, and then play out this whole, you can heal me type of thing. So, yeah, it was kind of not sure about that. But then again, like I agree with you too, John, that narcissists can be very patronizing as well when they want to act as if they care so much and they want to open your wound, right? So that you'll become vulnerable with them, and then they get themselves inserted into back into your life in an intimate way. So it happens both ways too, whether you're a veteran or whether you're the whether the narcissist is a veteran or whether the narcissist is the person who's trying to console, right? Somebody who's not even looking to be consoled, right? Maybe you're a veteran, but you're not needing consolation from the narcissist, but they'll try to open up a wound inside of you or vulnerability in you, especially over such a uh, emotionally charged day as Veterans Day. Yeah. So, yeah, be prepared for that. Be aware, and I think you're doing the right thing, John, by recognizing that she does this and it's a manipulation. So you're already ahead of the game. Obi-Wan says, "My happy is what my narc did to themselves and got exposed." Woohoo! That is always so amazing, you guys. It is so fulfilling to see the narcissist exposed. Oh my gosh, especially when they expose themselves, right? When they create a trap for somebody else and then they walk into it. Oh my gosh. And when other people recognize them for what they are and say, hold their feet to the fire and say, enough, we're not dealing with this anymore. It is so healing, even, to see that happen. Um, yeah, Obi says, I would share more, just too much going on and my narc is failing. Okay. Heather says, sometimes crappy turns into something happy. What you thought was a bad thing turns into something good. That's absolutely true. Yep. You know, I love it when that happens. Instead of falling into this negativity and just doom and gloom, and when you approach a negative situation with positivity, you actually can turn it around. I have a little plaque, and I'm not sure if Albert Einstein's the one who said this, but I think it says something like, in the midst of oh, what is it? In the midst of not oppression, but something like that lies opportunity, right? So in the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. So I think that's really true. When life is difficult, there's always some opportunity to, like, get up higher, become better, open it up to something more than you ever expected, right? Make yourself incredibly strong. There's so much opportunity in difficulties. Yeah. Emily, good to see you. Says, my narcs me, ignores, and breaks up daily for a long time. How do I fight back? Oh, Emily, let me answer this real quick for you guys. You fight back by ignoring them. you have to cut him out. So when he does come back, you say he breaks up daily. So what happens is you break up for the long term. You say no, you take control. I know that might not be what you want. You want to be in a relationship with this person, but the best way to be in a relationship with someone who's acting narcissistically, like maybe this person is not a narcissist, but if they are, you really need to just cut it off and be done. If they are not a narcissist, when you cut it off and you are done with the relationship, what will happen is they will start to change. They will start to realize they cannot manipulate you anymore and they're not in control anymore. And then they start to see the power shift to you. When that happens, because you say no, because you block them, because you say this is enough, once you set these boundaries, if they are not a narcissist and they're just behaving toxically because, or in a toxic way because they've been wounded or whatever, what will happen is they'll alter their behavior because their behavior doesn't work anymore. The old behavior of blocking you and breaking up with you and yet still being able to come back to you won't work anymore. So once you give them a consequence to their behavior, they will change their behavior. That's what happens with people who are not truly a narcissist, but they behave like one because they're wounded. All right. So that would be my suggestion to you. Stay strong. It's going to be hard because you're probably feeling very vulnerable and you may be in a codependent situation. So you may want to look into that as well, like how to not become codependent or stay codependent. Look into yourself and find out why you feel that you need this person in your life to complete you or make you happy or make you feel secure. You need to find security in other ways because this person will destroy your life, whether they're a narcissist or not. If you allow that behavior to continue in your relationship, it will continue in your relationship. So just want to let you know that. Obi-Wan says, Emily, no contact will kill them the most. Yeah, it's true. No contact with a narcissist. They will be devastated. They'll promise they'll change. They'll promise they'll do anything at all. Once you take them back and they behave the same way again and again and again, then go truly no contact. And don't let them back into your life, as in romantically, right? Or in a personal relationship. You can see them from afar. You can see them as an acquaintance and, in groups of people, but do not get into a relationship with them. Yeah. RB says, what about narcs that are like Teflon? Nothing sticks and they always get away with treating people crappy behind closed doors, but in public are the best thing since sliced bread. Oh, yeah. Nothing sticks and they always get away with treating. RB, that's the way it does look, right? It does look that way for a long time. And they may be able to keep up this facade for years. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, it was hell. It really was. It was hell at home. It was the worst upbringing, one of the worst upbringings a child can have. There was all kinds of abuse, mental, physical, sexual, everything. But in to the outside world, this parent appeared to be perfect, just the most wonderful person ever. So what I would get a lot, and I'm sharing this with you, I don't share this with a lot of people, but now it's out there, I guess. This is why I stay anonymous, because I don't want to expose my family to all this junk, because not even everybody in my family is aware of all of this. So what would happen is my parents' friends would come over and tell me how lucky I am to have a parent just like this. How lucky I am to have this person as my parent, which killed me, just killed me. And when you're a kid going through that, I'm talking 10 years old on up, when they would tell you how lucky you are that this abusive, horrible person is your parent, it just destroys you. It does. And so I understand what you're talking about. And as an adult, when you watch this happen, And I watched this happen too into my adulthood, how this parent still manipulated and had their flying monkeys. They, oh my gosh, spread such horrible junk about me that were completely untrue, just to turn all of her friends in her the society or whatever her social groups against me. They would give me the evil eye if I walked into a room with them. They just thought I was just a horrible person. I had to get to a point where, you know what, no matter what she did, I had to stay strong and keep my head up. No matter what she did, no matter what she said about me, um, even though other people on the other side thought that she was the angel and anybody in a relationship with her should be is so blessed. Here's the thing. She was so generous with everybody else. She would give them, what appeared like she would give them the shirt off her back. She would go and raid my room and give away whatever was in my room to whoever was visiting. To them, they thought, wow, she's so generous. Now, she also would bake them, their birthday cakes. She would, she would give them gifts. She would buy things for them. And I grew up thinking we were poor. I grew up thinking that we had no money. Even though we had this beautiful house, I thought we had no money because I never saw the generosity. Okay. I was not part of it. I lived around it, but I didn't receive it. So I totally understand when the rest of the world thinks this person is just amazing, so wonderful. And then they might pick one person to take all of their anger out on. Might pick one person to just use and abuse and throw away because they need an outlet. I'm not even, I hate to say it like that, but that's what they'll do. What do you do with that? You keep living your life. You have to separate. You have to separate yourself from that person and that society if you can. If you can move, start a new life. You have to get counseling to clear your head so it doesn't follow you, the condemnation doesn't follow you, but you need to clear the field for yourself. You need to start a new life with new people, with new surroundings. That's what I suggest. Um, Here's the good news, okay, about this situation. Um, as this parent of mine, right, she got older. She, how do I, she started thinking that her lifelong friends who were there, actually, they were her flying monkeys. They were horrible, just like her. But the ones who thought that she was just wonderful and amazing and whatever, they're not part of her life. They're just not part of her life anymore. They probably are wandering off into their life thinking, oh, yeah, we remember her. She was such a nice person. And maybe that's it. But she still has no contact with them. They have gone on with their life. She's gone on with her life. But in her life, things are very lonely. Like she's still trying to buy people's love. She's still trying to be generous to the have-nots, if you will, because narcissists need to be needed. If they're not needed, then they have no control. So what you have to do is separate yourself from that group of crazy flying monkey fan club thing where the only people who surround them are people who need them. And it gets to that point. It may not be at that point at first, and it may look like, oh, they have this fan club that just admires them because they see only the good side of them. Well, that fan club falls away. They're not that close to the narcissist to begin with, because narcissists cannot be close to people. They don't keep these lifelong relationships. The only lifelong relationships they keep are the codependent ones, the ones that are very toxic, the ones that they continue to use and abuse. And you don't want to be any part of that anyway. So that's what I would say. You can't stop the temporary relationships they have where people are in awe of them. That just happens. That will continue to happen. You have to separate yourself physically if you cannot separate yourself mentally. So, well, you guys, I have not gotten into this whole conversation I had with the narcissist, but you guys have so many good comments here. Jihad, good to see you. Emily says, I need to be strong emotionally and do it. I'm an empath and end up feeling sorry for him. Yes, we have all been there. And they will. They'll play to your empathy. They will play to your sense of vulnerability, your sense of goodness, your sense of giving. They know that you will give, right? And it works. So long as they can feed off of that from you, so long as you respond in that way towards them, the kind, empathic way, they will continue to abuse. They will continue to use. So that's why when you go no contact, when you put up a wall, when you say no more, and they're begging and they're crying and they'll accuse you. Oh, how can you be so mean? How can you see that I'm hurting and you're so cold? You have to be strong enough to realize that they're manipulating you. It's all a manipulation. All right, you guys. Woo, you guys, I'm so glad you're hopping on. Heather says toxic is toxic. You need to go no contact. It took me a long time and it hurt, but it is the best decision ever. My healing started immediately. Thank you, Heather. Excellent, excellent comment. So, Emily, I hope you heard that. This is so true. Jihad says, I had court on Tuesday and was able to expose her on how abusive she was to the kids. And she first denied it, then admitted it, and she told down. Okay. Well, I think yeah. Yeah, that's good. If it was exposed, that's great. I think, you know what, they will deny, and it is up to us to prove. So many, many times I have said this before, and somebody I know through a mutual friend actually is going through this, and I don't know who it is actually. Our mutual friend was telling me the scenario, so I was telling him how to tell his friend what to do. They're going through a really nasty divorce, and I told my friend to let his friend know in this situation, it's never too late to start documenting. It's never too late. You can document and journal what has happened in the past with this person, as far as you can remember dates or years, maybe months, right? You may not remember the exact date when things happened, but write it down. Write down what happened with this person, texting, calling, the abuse, like Obi-Wan was saying, that was done to the kids, stuff like that. Well, I'm sorry, not Obi-Wan, Jihad was saying this. Yeah. So as Jihad was saying, if you can document the abuse, their abusive behavior, do that. And even if it's in the past, document it, write it in a journal. But then from this point on, definitely write down everything, every interaction you have with them. And especially if you witness their abuse. And Emily, I would suggest this too to you. To help you stay strong, write down the times that they've been horrible to you. Write down how they've treated you badly. Write down even the last fight you had and what they said to you. Okay? And then keep that with you. That will keep you strong. Or when they come back and they apologize and you see, wow, how are they apologizing and they did this to me? And then you start to see how many times they've done this to you. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, Emily says he is 50 years old and has officially taken our relationship off Facebook 45 times in 2 years. Yeah, you need to get in control of this relationship. It sounds like he's a child throwing a tantrum and you keep giving him candy. That's essentially what's happening. He keeps throwing at this tantrum and running away and maybe even hitting, like kids hit. I'm not saying this guy is hitting, but they will throw these violent tantrums and then the parents will give them candy to appease them, to calm them down. You don't want to do that. You want to say, okay, throw your tantrum, but you're on your own, just cut them off. Yeah, Harriet, good to see you, says they are 10 times worse when you let them back. Absolutely. So you guys, I do want to, Harriet says, do they ever get karma? Absolutely. Absolutely, they get karma. They do. You might not see it, okay? And that's the hard thing for us because we'll look at them or look over towards them and we think, well, they still have all around. Or, man, how did they just hit the lottery? Like, how did they get that promotion? How did they get into a relationship with such an amazing, wonderful person? How did they marry up? How did they go on this beautiful vacation? How we see these blessings as if it's being poured onto them, but it's not really being poured onto them. There's a scripture that says that God reigns on the good and evil, which means that good things happen to both good and bad people. Just does, right? There are blessings for everyone, good or bad. Now, if you focus on bad people and you only see the blessings that they've had, it's going to look like they're being rewarded for being bad. What we don't see are the tragedies that happen in their life because they keep that secret, right? They don't want to be seen as a failure. They don't want to be seen as needy. So there are these people who buy these incredibly expensive homes and cars, and then they're in debt up to their eyeballs. All right. They're not going to show you that they're in debt up to their eyeballs. They're going to want to show you that they're a success. They're wearing expensive clothes. They're wearing designer stuff. They have designer bags. They have, the best, most expensive car in the neighborhood. They want to show that, but they're drowning in debt. Okay, because narcissists are not. They're too tempted by their desires to do things responsibly. Okay, so they're irresponsible with relationships. They will be irresponsible in other ways as well. So we may not see karma hit, but karma is definitely hitting. And it's sad, I guess, if you want to see it this way, but it's sad to me, it is sad when at the end of life, the narcissist is completely alone and has nobody really to count on. But some narcissists will still have their flying monkeys around them, swarming around them at the end of their life. And the reason for this, and I think Emily had hit on this before, is empaths. Empaths feel sorry. They do. They feel sorry even for narcissists. So at the end of their life, they may have a few empaths still sticking around, feeling sorry for them. Oh my goodness, you guys, I don't know why. This says like I've started over or something. I don't know. But I think you're doing fine. So you guys, they do get their karma. We may not be there to see it, but they get it. And you don't want to be there, by the way, to be destroyed along with them when the karma hits. Okay, you don't want to be associated with them. Yeah, Obi-Wan says it starts, okay, in speech class starts with denial, then it goes to they make deals, and when that doesn't work, they get even, and when that doesn't work, they just give up. Yeah, so going no contact, not letting them know that they are affecting you is the best way. Oh, yeah. Harriet says they destroy you spiritually and get to ride off into the sunset with the new supply. WTF. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. I get it. It does look that way. That's why we cannot look. Just don't look. But no, you know what it was like being in a relationship with them, okay? You know that they destroyed you spiritually. They're going to destroy the next person spiritually. There's nothing that stops them from doing that. So, you guys, I do want to get to my topic. Sorry if I brought up upsetting memories for you, RB says. Yeah, see Thomas, good to see you, says, Harriet, they'll definitely destroy you first, then move on. Oh, Emily says they never take the blame. They blame everyone else around them, and they never take accountability and have tons of excuses. Yes, they do. So, Emily, it looks like you are more and more aware, right? Becoming more and more aware of the narcissistic tactics. So, when they come back to apologize or try to get back into your life again, just don't give in to that. Have your list of I guess you can call it the negative list or their crap list. I don't know what you want to call it, but the list of things that they had done to you. Have that ready. The times they didn't, they didn't apologize. They accused you instead, right? They pulled you down, they started insulting you, things like that. All right, you guys. Wow. The narc rarely gives up. They will keep coming back for some benefits if you let them. That's what C. Thomas says. Block and no contact have to be long term, even many years. They'll try. Yeah. Emily says, I started mirroring what he does to me, and then he couldn't deal with it. Ultimately, he became the victim, and I would try to show him that he did the same to me. He would deflect and even say that never happened. Yep. They don't, they have very short memories when it comes to their own behavior. They won't remember the bad stuff. They'll remember the good stuff. Like they'll hold you in their debt if they did anything good for you, right? If they did something nice for you, they'll remember that forever and hold you to that. But if they did something bad to you, they will run from it. They'll ignore it. They'll rewrite history. They'll forget about it. So that's why it's pointless really to argue with a narcissist because they're not even arguing from a sane or rational point of view. And that's just the way it is with them. Well, you guys, let me get to, yeah, Mike says they aren't capable of truth or reality. And they're not. They really aren't. They're living in their own world. Well, yeah. You guys have a lot of great comments here, and I so appreciate. Yeah, they'll call you mean or hateful for setting boundaries with them. And this is why we have to be strong, right? We have to know who we are when we get into a conversation with them because they will manipulate. Oh my gosh. So the narcissist I had a conversation with tried to manipulate in calling my channel a narcissist bashing channel. And it's not. It's not a narcissist bashing channel. Although it is a narcissist educational, it educates you guys about what to do when you see a narcissist, but also it's a channel for us to share our experiences that we've had with narcissists to expose their manipulations, right? But to a narcissist, that might look like bashing to them, right? We're calling them out. So we're bashing them, how terrible we are. So the conversation I had started off with the narcissist, and I'm going to just call him the narcissist because that's what he called himself, said that he believes he is a narcissist. He's going to therapy, and even his therapist has indicated or suggested, but not outright diagnosed him as a narcissist. I guess because maybe the therapist isn't qualified to diagnose. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he's a counselor and not quite a full-fledged psychotherapist. So the therapist has told him that he has signs of narcissism. So he believes he is a narcissist. And he got on with me and asked, this is, he's not happy with his life, right? In some respect, in the social respect. He was saying that he cannot hold on to a long-term relationship. Now, some narcissists can hold on to a long-term relationship, but it's sort of like an agreement where the narcissist will continue to behave badly and maybe even be cheating, but the supply is willing to stay. So that's their long-term relationship. Or the narcissist is not interested in having extramarital or extracurricular activities outside of their supply, but they'll still treat the supply like trash, right? But the supply will stay because the supply feels like, oh, they're the only one who understands the narcissist. They're the only one who can help the narcissist or heal the narcissist, or the only one who will stick around while everybody else abandons the narcissist. So the supply stays, and then that narcissist will be in a long-term relationship and think they're doing just fine because, hey, they can hold down a long-term relationship. Well, the one I was talking to, that's not the case. He would have multiple relationships because, bottom line, he was bored. He said that he's really successful, etc., right? He's the best in his family somehow, and yet he cannot hold down these relationships. And I'm thinking, he did not let it get to the point where he explained more, because I didn't want to recreate what he's getting in therapy. I wanted to get to the core of the problem. And from what he had told me about being bored, he was bored with women who were too easy, right? They're just like throwing themselves at him, which is great at first, and he's having great sex or whatnot, right? But then he gets bored of them because they have no personalities, not very deep. Number two, he also did mention that the women he was dating changed. He said they weren't the same people later on. And I wanted to get into that with him, but we didn't get that far. What that made me think though is that, well, who are you? Are you the same person that started off with them? Did they change or did you change? Did you become a jerk and now they're reacting to you being a jerk? Also, number two, did did you not notice, like, when the relationship changes or gets deeper, people people tend to expect more from each other, and then it takes a give and take, right? It takes two people being responsible in a relationship then to make it healthy. One person can't make it a healthy relationship. Two people need to make it a healthy relationship. So what was he doing to make sure that it was healthy, right? And if they were changing, let me, number three, well, what gene pool were you pulling from, right? What group, what population were you pulling from to have a relationship? What was he using as um, what was he using as bait to catch these women? Was it his prosperity? Is he driving around in a really nice car and showing off his really expensive house and flashing money? Was he trying to catch a very shallow person? So of course, that's not that person is not who you think they are. They're in it for the money, and then once they think they've got you, just like narcissists, their real personality starts to come out. So he thinks this person has changed. No, they haven't changed. They're the same person. They just start off this way. They start off with a shiny look that like you do, and the narcissist, that is, and then they get their hooks into you and get you addicted to them, and then they show who they really are. The same way narcissists behave. So he's dating other women who are essentially just like him, and he's wondering, why did they change? Okay, number three, he says, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place with this, but not number three on how these women are changing. But first, he's bored with the person who's too easy. Second, women are changing on him. Third, he says, then he dated somebody who was a challenge, or was pursuing someone who was a challenge. And then once he caught her, he got bored, right? So sounds very typical of a narcissist, right? A sexually involved narcissist, that is. But I wanted to ask him not the same questions that his therapist is probably asking him, because that only takes care of the surfacey stuff. I wanted to go deeper. So this narcissist says he wants a normal relationship. He wants this long-term relationship, but he cannot get past these three types of women, right? And how then can he get that long-term relationship? Well, my question to him was, well, what's normal? What does normal look like to him? To which, of course, I said more than that. I said, what does normal look like to you? And also, you said you're bored when they're too compliant, and then you're bored even though they're not compliant, but once you catch them, you're bored. So, what does normal look like to you if you're just always bored with these different women? To which he responded that, this is when you start to get to the core of the problem, when you want to get the narcissist to introspect, I wanted him to look at what is normal, right? To him, what does normal look like to him? And he might have thought that, oh, these are ridiculous questions, and normal is normal. The problem here is that he was not willing really to look deeply. Because if he started looking deeply and questioning, yeah, what does normal look like? And will I be bored with normal, right? Is normal going to just bore the heck out of me? That's not going to solve his long-term relationship issues, right? So we got to keep digging. Well, narcissists do not like to dig. They want a cure-all pill. That's why he's going to the therapist. He's hoping that the therapist gives him step-by-step instructions. Do this, A, B, C, D, and then you'll have what you want, as if there's some easy formula out there, right? An easy button for them to push. And that'll solve all their problems, all their character issues, and they'll still get what they want. That's not how life works. First, the narcissist has to, or maybe if this person really isn't a narcissist, they will work um, on their character issues. They will introspect. The drive to get that normal life or that desirable life they want with a significant other, that will motivate them enough to change. But if they really are a narcissist, first of all, they don't see the point of changing. They don't see that there's anything wrong with them. And the way they are, people should just accept the way they are. You really can't help that. And the more they go to therapy, it's pointless. It really is pointless for them to even go to therapy. But they go because they think that they'll get these tricks, I guess, is essentially what they're trying to learn from the therapist. Tricks and strategies on how to get a person to do what they want that person to do, which is, in his case, stay in a long-term relationship with him until, of course, he's bored, and then he gets rid of them, which then he doesn't see that he's the problem. He's the problem with why his relationships are not going long-term. So even if he does find somebody who's tremendously empathic, who's willing to stay for the abuse, who's willing to stay while he cheats on them, he's going to be bored with them, and he's not going to want them. So that's, so he has to dig deeper. The thing that I noticed when I was having this conversation with him was that, and I had to be very careful, and even as careful as I was, to not fall into this cyclical arguing, rehashing, which is what his therapist does with him. Trying not to do that with him, trying to get to the core of the problem, scares them. It does. It scares them. They don't want to, and it angers them. And when they're scared, they're angry. The anger will flash up. The accusations will come, which he did, right? He accused me of bashing narcissists. And by the way, you know what? It's not bashing, it's holding them accountable. Narcissists, when they behave badly, need to be held accountable. And I'm totally for consequences, because consequences will help put in place the boundaries that are needed in a relationship. Because boundaries without consequences is just nagging. All right, you guys, I want you to understand that. If you give a narcissist or a toxic person a boundary, let's say, if I catch you smoking in the house again, all right, let's use that. I'm going to kick you out. You're not allowed to stay. That type of thing. Okay, you could say that. But then they're smoking again. And then you yell at them. Okay, next time, if I catch you smoking again, and I know I can smell the smoke in the house right now, I'm going to kick you out. And then they smoke again. And you keep yelling at them. I told you not to smoke in the house. How many times do I have to keep telling you? Have there been any consequences? No. You did not implement a consequence when you said, I'm going to kick you out, right? When you kick them out, after you come in and you smell the smoke, you gather up their stuff, you pack it up, and you set it neatly out on the front porch, and you change the locks. Guess what? That's a consequence, all right? And maybe later on they have to kick the habit or whatever it is, but you have to have a consequence, because without a consequence, they will keep doing whatever they're doing. So when I talked to this guy about the core problem that he's having, it scared him. It scared him, and he doesn't want to get that deep. Because if he goes that deep, then he's going to have to admit what he's really afraid of, what's really bothering him. And narcissists are so their security, their self worth is so damaged that they build this fortress. They protect that wounding with a fortress that they've taken years to build, right? And that fortress might actually look like success. They've taken years to build up their success and to protect their vulnerability, to protect who they really believe they are. Even if other people don't see them as vulnerable, even if other people don't see them as negative, um, like one of you guys was saying earlier, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was now. It might have been um, who was saying that, on the outside, everybody's praising the narcissist and they're like Teflon and nothing sticks to them and everybody thinks they're wonderful. And that might be the case with a narcissist. But deep down inside, they have issues and they know it. They know they are not connecting with people deeply. They know that, the love of their life or their soulmate or whoever they, claim this new supply to be is not really that connected to them, or they're not that connected to the supply. They get bored. The relationship changes to the point where they're no longer satisfied with it or fulfilled by it. And that's why they constantly are seeking more and more supply or new supply. So, yeah. I wish that this person would have answered me back instead of retaliating with an accusation, which is what narcissists do, by the way. But also toxic people. Toxic, wounded people will also retaliate your sincere questions, right? Your sincere concerns. But if that concern is too close to the digging into or getting deeper with them, then they're going to retaliate with anger, because their response to fear is anger. And many people respond to fear with anger, by the way, not just narcissists. So when someone's retaliating and yelling back at you for a very benign question, you have to wonder, wow, there's got to be some kind of wounding there that I got close to, right? There must be something that probably that person would have caused that person to go a little deeper, and they were not willing or ready to go deeper. So instead, they retaliate by getting angry. So that's what happened with the narcissist that I had a conversation with. I wish that I could have talked to them about why they can't have a long-term relationship. Oh yeah, so let me give you some of the things that he was probably looking for. What occurred to me, what I realized, I knew, is that he wanted a quick and easy answer, a solution to his relationship problems. He wasn't getting it from the therapist. The therapist was giving him step-by-step instructions and telling him he needs to grow empathy by behaving empathic, and maybe he'll start to become empathic. That's not how empathy grows. It just, that's not how empathy works. You have to go deeper. You have to figure out what the wounding is that causes him not to be empathic towards others, right? He admitted that he doesn't have empathy in his discussion with me. He said he just doesn't have empathy. But what they want is they want you to give them steps on how to perform so that they can look like us, act like us, and maybe have relationships like we do. But they don't want their motives to be questioned. Like, you cannot question a narcissist's motives. You can't question why they're not empathic, right? Why they want a long-term relationship. Because they'll just give you a surfacey answer. They're not going to go deeper. They're not going to really show you their vulnerability. And actually, there are exceptions to that rule, even, because people are people. We are very complex, right? And even narcissists. There are narcissists that will show you that vulnerability, will in the midst of maybe a drunken stupor, when their guard is down, they will tell you what really they're afraid of. Now, once they do that, though, they're going to bury it. When they're sober again, or when the light of day comes, they're going to pretend like they didn't tell you that. And they'll still behave like a total jerk. They bury it so deep, they don't want you to bring it up again, and they don't want to address it again. So they'll bury it. And even though the narcissist may want help, they're not willing to stay in that vulnerable place and actually clean it out, right? Clean out that wound. Yeah, they'll tell you that, let me see. Yeah, essentially, they want things to happen in their life, or they want certain relationships in their life, but they don't want to change. They don't want to make the hard do the hard work to actually change themselves in order to get the relationship they want. They don't see, why can't I just throw money at this, right? This is how they think they want to solve their problems. Why don't I just throw money at it? Or why can't I just expect this other person to change along with me and fit me in every way possible, fit well with me, and then still be exciting to me? Like, they want some crazy non-existent person to be their partner. uh, anyway, it's they just want something easy. And when you challenge them with something that's not easy, when you challenge them with having to look at themselves and ask themselves, why is it that I need this, or want this, or desire this? What is it that keeps me from getting this? What inside of me am I afraid of? And I'm thinking this person is probably afraid of other people using him. That's my thinking, is that the narcissist I had a conversation with ultimately is afraid that some other people are using him. Because if he's that successful and he's flaunting his money around, he knows that people are dancing because he's throwing money at their feet. Essentially, that's what happens. Um, and when he stops throwing money at their feet, will they still like him? Will they still be around him? Will they still love him? And even if they profess that they would, he sees that as a weakness. He sees that, wow, I was able to tame you with money. I was able to capture you with money. And that, to him, he doesn't respect that. So the people he's capturing, he doesn't respect. And those who do really love him or care about him, he also doesn't respect, because he doesn't see them as his peer. Bottom line is, he just doesn't see these people as his peer. So he has no respect for these people. He may be enticed by them and infatuated with them at first and attracted to them, but he does not see them as his peer. And that's why he cannot have a long-term relationship with these people, where he doesn't become bored, or where he doesn't decide that something better is around the corner. um, because he's looking for that person that he can respect. And yet, narcissists have a problem with respecting other people, um, to their degree, because they're very critical of themselves. They're very critical of themselves. So they're automatically critical of other people. So even people they respect at first, when the narcissist sees a little chink in their armor, they're going to disrespect that person, or lose respect for that person. They're going to see that person as weak now, because of um, that little tear in their armor, or yeah, in their personality. So he can't continue a relationship, because respect for him is a big deal. And yet he hasn't yet figured out what honorable or good or real respect looks like. So anyway, that's something that he's going to have to dig deeper with his therapist. And if he's willing to come back onto my channel and chat with me, that would be great. I also interact with people privately on email. If you guys have questions that you don't want to bring forward, I do have an email. It's escapefromcrazytown@gmail.com, all one word. So Let me see how the conversation is going on online here. Yeah, let me see here. Wow, okay. How far do I have? I'm sorry, I'm kind of far back. Um, oh, good. Obi-Wan went to go work out. Good for you. You know what? I love it. I love it when you guys start to do positive things for yourself. Start to take care of yourself physically, and you work out and you're watching, how you take care of yourself. That is so good. You're going to feel so much better about yourself, and you're going to build your confidence back. Yeah. Okay, Mike says she acts so entitled to abuse me for no reason, just because I have boundaries. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. When you set up boundaries, be prepared for their onslaught of anger. Okay, they do not like it when people give them consequences to their own actions. They don't like it when we have boundaries and tell them that they're not allowed to do everything they want to do still, right? Um, Mike says they never apologize to or they do, it's never sincere. No, they don't. I mean, they might apologize a little bit and they might kind of feel a little bit, it might look a little sincere, but they'll quickly throw that out, and it doesn't matter to them so long as they get the results, the reaction they want from you, then they're good. If you forgive them, they'll apologize. um See, Thomas, he's now moved on with a new supply and desperately, oh, Harriet says this, after her mortgage equity. Oh, he unconsciously, subconsciously, I think, told me during a Hoover he's in debt and needs a lump sum of money. Oh, yeah. This is, really hard when they deplete you financially and destroy you financially, and you have to rebuild. But the good news is you can rebuild, and you just cut them off, and you have to count it like, you know what? Sadly, that was a bad investment and I lost that money. But now you can make new money. You can start over. Whereas they don't know how to do that for themselves. Yeah. See, Thomas says, yes, Harry, it's hard to think about sometimes what they'll do and move on like nothing, like nothing. I was hoovered a lot and he wanted money and was complaining her money may have run out. Oh, yeah, they do. Once the money runs out for them also, they leave that supply that was giving them financial support. Yeah, Mike says yes, narcissists are definitely in debt. They're one big illusion, and they'll do anything to keep that illusion going. That's the scary part to me, really, because narcissists want to appear like they are financially set. And they may have some finances, but even if they have some, they have to exaggerate it. They have to act as if they have far more than what they do have. And it's really frustrating to watch, because from our perspective it looks like they're doing really well financially. And that's the reaction actually they're going for. They want jealousy, right? They want people to be jealous of them. They want people to look towards them and think that they're doing really well. So let me see. 2DQ says narcissist bashing, quote unquote. Another way the narcissist plays the perfect victim. Yeah, exactly. And in a way, it's such, okay, it is a manipulation, but they will use it as if, oh, you wounded me, you're bashing, and I got to tell you, I fall for this for a moment as well, where I feel like, wow, I feel so bad. I don't want them to feel like I'm bashing them. That's not my intention. But here's the reality. They're trying to get out of having a real conversation with you. They don't want to have this conversation. They don't want to be held responsible or um, given consequences. So they turn the tables or they change the subject to now, oh, they're feeling attacked. They're feeling like you're bashing them. And then you feel bad because that's not your intention. Your intention is to try to work things out, possibly, right? Um, but that's not what they're interested in. They're not interested in actual solutions. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's the other thing that's so different about narcissists and us, and what I'm trying to help my viewers focus on. I want you guys to focus towards solutions, right, in your life. Even when bad things happen, let's work towards a solution. Let's learn from our mistakes. That's why it's called happy crappy hour. The crappy is stuff that went badly or you did this week that did not go well. You want to look at that because you want to learn from it. You want to know how you got there, what happened, and how not to do that again. Narcissists are not like that. They are not solutions oriented. They are um, they are bottomless pits, right? That you cannot fill. And they're looking around to see who can fill them next, right? And they're not interested in actually figuring out what the holes are that are in their life that's keeping them unfulfilled. They want to just keep filling from the top and not take care of what's on the bottom, right? What's causing them to be depleted. And it's sad. I have some narcissists in my life right now where I wish I could sit down with them and help them figure out the true ugliness, really. It really is ugly at the bottom of their character, the core of their character. But here's the good news though, if they could do that, and we do this too, by the way, we need to do this for ourselves. When we introspect, we see some ugly stuff. Honestly, we do. But if we are not willing to see the ugly that's inside of us, we're not going to be able to get rid of it. All right? That's the difference. We're able to actually, and it's so courageous to do that. It takes immense courage and strength to go inside and admit the ugly stuff that's inside of you in order to get rid of it. All right? Narcissists and wounded people who are toxic and behave like narcissists protect that wound. They protect that ugliness because they do not want to admit it. They don't want to deal with it. They're not strong enough and they're not courageous enough to deal with that ugly whatever's inside of them. It's probably jealousy. It could be, uh, you know, some kind of addiction that they don't want to let go of. It's, the core of who they think they are, they don't want to deal with. Because if they were to deal with it, they'd have to admit it. They'd have to admit they were this ugly. But once they do admit it, it is so freeing. Once you're able to admit the ugly character that drives your life, that drives your motivation, that drives your desires, oh my gosh, then you'll be able to clean that out and go, oh my, I don't want that anymore. That's not going to drive, it could be greed, it could be jealousy, it could be lust, whatever it is that's providing or filling some kind of need inside of you. Once you are able to admit to that, then you're able to handle it in the light. It's so good. It's so good for you. But narcissists and toxic people who won't, who behave like narcissists, they build a fortress around it. And when you start getting closer and closer to it, they will start battling you. They will fight you to the death because they don't want to admit it. It's so, so hard. But I wish we could. And all we can do is just keep trying, right? Not become like them. Let's not become angry, bitter, um, just ugly, right? On the outside, inside, anywhere. You have to let go of the ugliness. Emily says, can someone be a narcissist magnet? Yes. I'll say that right now. Yes. A lot of empaths can become narcissist magnets. not just empaths, but that you might be very attractive in many ways, like physically attractive, financially attractive. If you're a good supply to a narcissist, but you have codependency issues, you'll allow narcissists into your life. Whereas other people who might be empathic and successful and all that, but they are not codependent, they don't even notice when a narcissist comes by. They, in a way, I mean, they notice like, I don't really want to be around that person, or that person is overly nice and I'm not attracted to that. The ploys that the narcissist uses to catch people will not work on someone who's very strong self, um, uh, in their core, right? To their core, they're just very strong and they know who they are, and they don't feel like they need approval or they need attention from other people, or they need, you get that. It's nice to get attention, it's nice to get approval, but you are not propelled by that. If you're not propelled by that, you won't be taken in by the narcissist. So in a way, you're kind of a magnet. You can be a magnet to a narcissist without becoming their supply. Like they can see that you would be great supply, but if you're very strong in who you are and you know who you are, you're not going to be manipulated with guilt, right? You're not going to be easily guilted into doing what they want, or they cannot use their lies on you, and you can kind of see like, wow, this person's trying really hard to manipulate me, and you just don't go with it. You just don't. It just kind of like slides off of you. Now, they may be attracted to you and come towards you like you're a magnet to them, but you don't have to take them. That's the good news, Emily. You don't have to take them. And you probably will be approached by more narcissists, right? Because maybe you're welcoming smile, maybe you're very friendly and open and nice to them, in ways that other people are not, right? Most people might be turned off by their very strong behavior. I don't know, their strong personality. Some people might be turned off by that, whereas you're forgiving. So they might be more drawn towards you because you're more willing and forgiving and wanting to um, make them feel comfortable, right? But you can do all of that and then not fall for their ploys. You can still be a good person. You can still be affectionate and kind and welcoming, but not be a patsy, right? Not be easily manipulated. Yep. Emily says narcissists are typically lazy. Well, yeah, you know what? Actually, I've known a couple of narcissists, three, I want to say three, probably four, that are not lazy. Not lazy at all. They seem to be like, wow, real go-getters. They work hard, they're constantly in motion. And part of that is because they're running from themselves. They cannot sit still. They cannot be by themselves. They can't their mind is always racing, because if their mind were still, they'd have to start introspecting. They'd have to start facing who they are. They'd have to sit with themselves, and they can't do that. So these four that I know are always doing and going and producing, I guess, if you will. Not that a couple of them are somewhat successful, you know, responsible looking on the outside, I guess, but mostly they're spinning their wheels. How do you say this name? Merrick Vandermeer, good to see you. Says they are portals for demons. So yeah, so ugly, right? And it sure does seem that way because they absorb such negativity. They spread negativity. They push other people down in order to feel like they're above the other people. Oh my gosh. Ah, somebody said something recently that I thought was just so on target. If you I don't know if I want to say this, but I might. Because I'm not a proponent of hurting people. I'm not a proponent of damaging somebody else. But I know that narcissists hate it. Hate it. I've seen this where when you compliment somebody else in front of them, it drives them nuts because they want the compliment. They want to be the star. And then for you to say something nice about somebody else, even to them, like, oh my gosh, did you see so and so? They are such a good person. I really like that. If you compliment somebody else to the narcissist or near or around the narcissist, it will drive them batty. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know that. Uh, yeah. Well, you guys, we have gone to our hour, but I will let you have a few moments to wrap up some of your conversations, and I'm going to read some of your comments here. Mike says, I always have to pay for stuff, and narcs get stuff for free. Yeah, that is annoying. Well, you know what? They pay too. They do. We just don't see it sometimes. Harriet says, I've been set up on a blind date, but so afraid I am paying for discernment, praying for discernment before I even meet him. I even more scared of intimacy that comes with a relationship. Harriet, just go slowly, you know. Don't feel like you have to rush into anything. Don't feel like you. Here's the thing. No, go when you go on this date, know what your boundaries are. Know that by 10 o'clock, I'm going to excuse myself and go home. Set a time for yourself. Even if things are going really well and whatnot, just set a time for yourself. Be in control in that way. Know that you're not going to just, oh, wing it and we'll see where this goes. Um, and even if you wing it and you see where this goes, set a time limit for it. So, okay, and if things went well enough, I'll set this time limit, and guess what? You'll have a second date. It'll happen. You don't have to prolong this date into next weekend, or overnight, or immediately think that, oh, if I don't sleep with him tonight, then I'm going to lose this person. No, do not go in with that. You have to go in with already set boundaries. Because if you don't, you may fall for a narcissist's manipulation. You may fall for them saying, oh, come on, we're getting along so well. Let's just spend the night together. No, don't do that. Don't go in there with this wishy-washy. If you do go in with that kind of attitude, yes, the narcissist can take advantage of that and will manipulate, and you don't want that. So, see, Thomas says they hate boundaries or don't know what it is to have any. Yeah. Yeah, see, Thomas says, Harriet, something about their manipulation turned people against you. I wonder, too, what he tells them, why I became the bad person. Oh my gosh, they will lie and lie. And that's where, when people have asked me, what if I have shared too much with the narcissist, right? What if I've given them um, such insight into my personality, into my, um, sorry, personal space, personal information, etc. Um, what if I shared too much with the narcissist and now we're not together anymore? I'm so afraid. And, other than sending them photos, which you cannot erase, sadly, um, they're going to make up stuff about you anyway. That's what I, wanted to tell you. They are going to make up stuff about you anyway. So even if you told them the truth about something that you wish you hadn't, uh, they will have made up stuff about you anyway. If they want to talk about you, they're going to talk about you. And by the way, they're going to talk about you. Everything you've told them um, is not safe. So, but then also things you haven't told them, it's not safe because they're just going to lie about you anyway. They're going to smear you to other people, to turn other people against you. And there's really just nothing you can do about it. But here's the good news: people get bored, people forget. So even their flying monkeys and their fan club, whatever they're telling these people about you, there's so much life out there. There's so many people out there. They're going to forget. They're going to forget about you. They're not going to, at the moment, it might seem like, wow, such juicy gossip, that they may wish you badly, or send bad juju your way, if you will, or treat you badly, or stare you down, or give you nasty looks when you see them. No big deal. No big deal. Because a month later, 2 months later, a year later, they don't care. You're nothing but a blip in their past from the narcissist. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat it too much. Just move on with your life. And whatever they say about you, you can't, we don't know. We just don't know what they say. We can't control it, and we can't stop them. That's the crazy thing. So we just gotta just let it go. The more we can just separate from them emotionally, mentally, physically, the better we are going to be. Yeah. Let me see here. Let's see. I'm just looking at some of these comments here. Oh, Harriet says, I don't think they are wounded or vulnerable. I think they literally have demons working for them. Uh, yeah. Well, you know what? There are psychopaths and sociopaths. That's beyond narcissism. All right, you guys. In that case, that vulnerability, the low self-esteem does not really go with them. They are definitely just, oh, you got to run. You have to run. One psychologist I had listened to a while back was saying that the difference, actually, maybe I heard from more than just one, um, the difference between psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists. Sociopaths and psychopaths are narcissistic, but not all narcissists are psychopaths and sociopaths. And then the difference between sociopaths and psychopaths, they said, was that a psychopath is born this way and a sociopath is made through environment, right, to become like that. So, yeah, just want to let you know that if they are behaving like a sociopath or psychopath, or they have no, they're violent, they're cruel, they inflict harm on people, get away, get away. There's no trying to talk or discuss or have a conversation or a relationship with these people. You want to get away. Yeah. Harriet says the vulnerability is fake. It's to get more supply. The ex-narc told me he was abused as a child because he knows it's the standard answer for abnormal adult behavior. Yes, and they will do that too. They will fake vulnerability. But like I said, I have also been around narcissists who were, for a moment, vulnerable, truly vulnerable. And but they regretted it afterwards, right? Because they don't want to show that, and they ran. Narcissists do trust. I mean, they have weaknesses too. They are not these people who figured out human behavior. They have not figured out human behavior, and much less their own human behavior. They have not figured that out. So they do make mistakes. They do falter at times, but then they just will cover it up and act as if, and I've used this, act as if they're a Jedi. You didn't see that, right? Nothing here to see. So they kind of act as if they're waving their hands over this vulnerable moment they had with you, as if it didn't really happen, and they're not going to talk about it, and therefore it doesn't exist. So it's really entertaining to watch, but yeah, that's how they behave. So you guys, I am going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, Mike says narcissists hate the truth. Yeah, they do. They would rather live in a fantasy, of course, where they're the apex, right? They're the top of the pyramid. They're everything that everybody else should be, I guess. That's the way they love to see themselves. Oh, wow. Glenn says, I frequent narcissist YouTube videos to figure out how not to behave. Oh my gosh. Some people, oh, I don't know why this kicked off and came back. Okay. Glenn says, I frequent narcissist YouTube videos to figure out. Oh, wait. Glenn says, I'm a narcissist, but I'm working hard to change. Oh, okay. Wow. You know, you might not be a real narcissist. You may have certain things that have happened in your life that maybe you were raised by one, maybe you were surrounded by one, maybe you spent a lot of time with one, that you have become more and more like a narcissist. So you might want to consider that too. Oh, so Glenn says, I attract a lot of narcissists and not empaths. Yeah. And that's possible because narcissists are pretty exciting people at times. They're pretty uh, out there. I don't want to just say outgoing, but they're really out there sometimes. And their personality may be very attractive, but in that it's explosive and sparkling and really exciting. But I'm glad that you're learning how not to behave like one. Makeda, good to see you. Says they are very messed up people. Yeah, they are. Wow. Mike says, only reason I don't stay in relationships long is because of my dad turning everyone against me. He doesn't care. He only thinks of himself. Yeah, you might want to separate yourself from your dad for a while or maybe forever, and have very little interaction with him. And I've said this before in past videos. Do not give the narcissist more access to you. And do not, that includes, you don't talk about anything with the narcissist other than the weather or maybe the dog. You don't talk to them about even your promotion. You don't talk to them about who you're dating. You don't talk to them about anything going on in your life. You just can't. You can't even tell them your favorite restaurant that you like to go to. It's really crazy. You can tell them what your favorite food is, but don't tell them where they might find you. Okay? You cannot share any of that information with narcissists. And that's how you keep your distance from them, even though they might be a family member. And you have to see them during birthdays or family gatherings or holidays. Just don't give them insight into your life, whether it's good or bad. You don't want to tell them that you went to the doctor and the doctor diagnosed you with anything. You don't want to share anything with them. And yeah, the less they have on you, the more boring it will be to their flying monkeys. Okay? Their flying monkeys will get bored of the same story over and over again. They have nothing new to say about you because they don't know anything new to say about you. And you'll start to escape their clutches. You'll start to get farther and farther from them, which is really good. Yeah, Glenn Ray says that he believes he is a narcissist. Glenn says, I'm a Christian as well, but I struggle with my personality disorder. I'm trying to change, he says. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This is great, you guys. I'm liking the comments you're giving here to Glenn. Kryn says, you're right. I'd have to admit it to myself and just face it. Oh, what did Kryn say earlier? Well, you guys, I'm not sure what Kryn has said, but there's a lot of conversation going around Glenn, who believes he's a narcissist and is trying to change. Some of that change, though, is going to be just surface type stuff, which is good. You need to know how to have healthy boundaries. um, and not manipulate other people. But you also want to learn how to be vulnerable and develop friendships slowly and step by step. It's if you're a Christian, which Glenn says he is, there are also some things that he can do through prayer and fasting, which is good. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are giving Glenn some advice here. Okay, Glenn says there are patterns that he knows he must break. Yep. And you know what? It may be that this this need to change who you are, to change your behavior, will propel you into a healthy life and a healthy mindset. I know that for myself, I had toxic tendencies because I was raised by a narcissist who was so abusive that you cannot come out of an abusive upbringing and not carry some of that with you. So I did. I carried some of that with you, and it became part of my personality. And I didn't want that. I did not want any of that to be a part of my personality. And I had to fight it for a long, long time until finally, one of the things that really helped me is I had to remind myself that the people I saw in front of me were not just an extension of me, like my loved ones, the ones who are closest to me. I cannot just take out my frustrations or whatever's happening, my insecurities that were going on inside of me out on them. I have to admit those insecurities to myself. I had to deal with it. I had to deal with the ugly truth of what was inside of me. And Glenn, I would suggest this to you is start asking yourself, am I jealous of this person? Am I, if, and it's hard to say, but jealousy is a huge, huge issue, more so than we realize, I think, in our society. I think you don't even have to be in a rich society to be jealous. You could be jealous of someone who's prettier, jealous of someone who is, and that jealousy is your inability to see your own worth, by the way. It is. You're not seeing your own worth. You're comparing yourself to other people. And if anything, in today's society, we compare ourselves more and more with social media. It's hard to escape that. And I don't know that it's jealousy that might be driving you, if it's lust that's driving you, if it's greed. A lot of these things too, all of these things are big hindrances to character. So, and character development. So, if you're dealing with any of these things, admit these things to yourself and then pray against that and tell yourself that I no longer want this to be a part of me and I will fight it. So when you start to feel a tinge of those ugly feelings or those ugly desires come up inside of you, um, rebuke it. Say that I refuse to accept this. I don't want this. And instead, I want to feel generous. I want to feel love. I see that I'm a good person. I don't know. You have to dispel whatever that ugly thing that's inside of you that propels you, that compels you, that motivates you. You need to get rid of it if it's an ugly part of you. So, Glenn, you can continually change the outside surfacey stuff and take steps to do the right thing, and that's all good. But take some time to really be truthful with yourself about what's really ugly inside. And even if it's like, I believe maybe you believe that you're the worst person on earth, whatever it might be, something really not true, not real, not good. Face that. You have to face that before you can really start to cure yourself of this toxicity or narcissistic behavior. Well, you guys, I think, let me see. Yeah, our time is up. I really have appreciated you coming on here, and I think that this has been a really good community to to help one another. I appreciate you guys welcoming Glenn as well. I hope you come back, Glenn. Um, Also, the other narcissist that I spoke to before, I hope you come back as well. That you see, we do want to help you, but we want you to dig deeper. You have to dig deeper. This is not a cure all, easy button type of situation. Narcissism and narcissistic personalities are not easily changed, but they can change. They can change over time. And I think that if you can go deeper, that would be great. But there are some people who just simply will not and cannot change. The sociopaths, psychopaths, those you have to be very careful of. You guys, blessings to you. I hope that you have a great week, and I will see you again next week.